Namaskar. We are going to start off with the press conference of Anurag Kashyap and his team, Team Kennedy. We are going to screen the film at 7 p.m. today, this evening. Along with him, we have Sudhir Mishra. I'll tell you why this great film director is also here with us. And Ranjan Singh, who is the producer of this project. This film has been dedicated to Sudhir Mishra, and that's why he's here. And there's a story. There's a story behind it which Anurag will tell you. With this, I leave it to Anurag, Sudhir, Ranjan, and Raj. And please start off with the press conference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we have the photo shoot in the beginning?
सुधीर जी थोड़ा सा अनुराग जी के बगल में आ जाते हैं।
इधर देखो, इधर सब, इधर देखिए,
सेंट्रल,
इधर इधर
अनुराग जी, आपके सुधीर जी और अनुराग आप दोनों एक साथ एक बात इधर उधर थोड़ा सा इधर हाँ जी
हाँ बस थैंक यू।
आप आइए सर, आप आइए।
अनुराग जी थोड़ा सा इधर भी सीधा
इधर देखिए, इधर
स्ट्रेट।
अनुराग जी थोड़ा सा स्ट्रेट हाँ हाँ बैठिए बैठिए बैठिए।
A very good afternoon to everyone. I know everyone is very excited to ask questions to Anurag and Sudhir. But before you shoot off your questions, I would request Anurag to speak about the film.
No, I prefer that everybody watches the film. Kennedy is a very personal thriller. It's a thriller, but it's also a personal film. And it's the central character I stole from Sudhir Mishra. From 20 years ago, I was supposed to write a script for him, which we were working on. That film that did not take off, but the character stayed with me. Sudhir used to tell me stories of this certain police officer as an example when we were writing the script, and that stayed with me. और वो कैरेक्टर से मैं इतना ऑब्सेस था, मैंने बहुत बार ट्राई किया how to make a film on this character in what circumstances, and then in the lockdown presented me with a circumstance that I could put the character from Sudhir's story in that circumstance and create a fictional film around it. So that's what Kennedy is. It has a lot of poetry and Western classical and an amazing central performance from Rahul Bhatt. And it's great. The full choreography between my production designer, my costume designer and my cameraman. It's like they're dancing together and the whole thing comes out. Ranjan Singh, producer, and my other two producers, Kabir Ahuja, who is not here, and Z Studios, Sharik Patel, who's not here, who's from Kolkata. Sharik Patel is also from Kolkata. And the film would not have happened without them. So here I am, and I hope everybody likes it.
Thank you so much, Anurag. Welcome to Kolkata International Film Festival. You will find an amazing audience here. When it starts, I just, even in Devdi, your film, you just took everything apart and reconstructed it in your own way. You have this thing about, it was in all the earlier versions, it was a very lyrical, tragical love story. But you actually reconstructed many of the things. So you have this thing about, juxtaposing, juxtaposing contradictory things and making it beautiful.
I would just say I like to play because there's a lot of fun in what has become the norm or what is like written in stone to change it. And because until we don't change it or we don't subvert something, nothing new comes out of it. Something new comes out of it when we do that. Sometimes you fail, but more often than not we succeed.
Yeah, but it's very important to experiment.
It's very important to experiment. I since not to take everything written in stone too seriously.
Yeah, no, but you never take the safe route.
Yeah. Yeah, in the sense, it's boring. Playing safe is boring because you play safe when you're doing everything, keeping in mind the box office. I'm going to break the box office record of this film or that film, then you play safe. I don't like to play safe. And it's also boring because until I'm not enjoying making a film, then I would rather not make a film.
Thank you. How is Sudhir connected to this film?
Because I stole the character from Sudhir.
I'm not connected. I mean, इसको प्यार से को प्यारी रहने दो ना, कोई नाम मत दो। और मतलब this is I know him from he was born in Bombay, so I mean we're all connected. And I've said in Calcutta, I've said this that when I saw Devdi and that I'm inspired by him. So it's not. I mean, after 3-5 films, we're all the same, you know. So it's not. He is the most inspiring young man in the city. So every time I get despondent and think I should run away, I look at him and it's inspiring. So maybe that's our job. You kind of work off each other, no?
Yeah, he's the OG. Gen Z language, he's the OG. He's the original. So there's a lot of things I've learned from him.
I mean, we are from someone. We all teach each other tricks.
No, he's just been very humble. We have all learned a lot from him in the sense. Sudhir has never made a film without having his disciples sit around and bounce off the idea and improvise on it. Film बनने से पहले हम लोग, I don't know how many times I have sat down in the sittings of हजारों guys or films after that. I've been when he was shooting इस रात की सुबह नहीं तो वहाँ पे भी घूमने टहलते चले जाते थे हम लोग. So Sudhir has always been there and he's very inclusive in his process. So there's a lot that one has learned from him over the years, and he's still inclusive. So that inclusiveness is what we feed off.
I mean, now I narrate my next film that I'm going to make. I narrate to him, and he said, "Don't shoot it till you don't finish the climax." So I didn't shoot it. I mean, you listen to each other in a sense because there's nobody else. I mean, it's like a family, no? Who else can you listen to? Then otherwise you're listening to marketing ideas only.
So yeah. So tell us about Devdi. What inspired you to make Devdi?
What is actually Devdas? I've read a lot of Sarat Chandra, and I always found Devdas to be his weakest novel.
Yes.
It is his weakest novel, and made the most number of times. And by chance I came across a version of his story of his life spent in Bangladesh. And then I realized where Devdas came from. It was a fictionalized teenage version of the life that he lived in Bangladesh. So I went to the source. I did not go to Devdas, I went to the source. I researched his time spent as a teenager there, And then I compared that to the time we were living in when we made that film. So I found parallels because there's no point telling the same story that has been told so many times. People remember, so it allowed me to jump in time. It allowed me to jump in time. It allowed me to play with what was set in stone. I don't have to explain who Chandramukhi is, who Paro is, who Devdas is. It's a given. People understand. What I can do beyond that is what I was trying to do, and mostly, if book was never the source material for me. Source material, Vikram Motwani wrote the first draft. He used the book as a source material because he also worked on Devdas at Bansali made. And then I took it and I played with it and I went to what I found about his life as a teenager.
No, the best thing about Devdi, and I'm sure about actually all your films, is that in Devdi all the characters were not plastic characters. They were real characters. They had real feelings. They had real hunger for sex, for relationships. You know, they were not some ethereal, abstract, unreal characters. So, please tell us about your other films, the other films that you've made, and your any future projects that you have.
Future, I keep writing. I'm always ready for a lot. So I have written a lot. I have a lot of unmade scripts and films. I keep writing. So whatever happens next will happen next.
So, do you have any favorites amongst the films that you made? Classic food and...
I don't know. I always say my favorite is my next.
No, Sudhir, I think people also want to hear from you.
About what? Yeah. No, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm doing a series, a limited series in January, which is roughly going into the 70s and coming of age of 5 people who get involved in the JP movement. So it's about the life, it's about the time when life was not about loving your parents, but sometimes reacting to them. So it's that which I quite, the way the scripts worked out, I quite like. It's all with young people. It will be fair. Let's see. I mean, to talk about something you haven't done is, somebody else should talk about it, but
No, but something, I want to say something like that. Even Hazar Khwaishein was about young people, about the JP, time of JP. It was a culture.
That's because Sudhir is young. He only makes film about young people because they are young.
मेरे बारे में बोल रहे थे अभी कि मतलब आप ही नहीं बड़े हुए बाकी you can visit that was a time in the 70s when that's the last time when people saw, I mean, from then on the era of individualism began. So that is the time when people thinking not of themselves, people are thinking of the other, thinking of the world outside. And I think you need to connect back to that time and know that not that there wasn't any, I mean, it's not this romanticization or sentimental version of that time. No, I mean, you make one film and then you go away. I mean, is Kennedy, Wasipur 2 or is it not? I mean, every film is an extension. No, I mean, it's the same Anurag Kashyap is making that film, or hopefully he's sort of, something else, you want to surprise yourself, So, I mean, actually, I don't know how it will turn out, and I don't think Anurag knew when he was making Kennedy how it will eventually turn out.
फिल्म बनने के बाद ही पता चलता है कि आपने क्या बनाया.
Maybe you'd like to hear from producer.
I'll introduce my producer also, Ranjan Singh, my producer. He's the one who's set up a lot of Inoxes, PVR. He's I think one of the first people who was instrumental in releasing so many documentaries in India. He brought foreign language films in India officially in cinemas with Lofi. And that's where we met for the first time, because first time Darden Brothers movie released in India in cinemas. And he was probably standing there to see, I want to see who are the people coming, and I was the first one to buy their ticket. And that's when we met, and we have lasted for, I think, more than 18 years now.
So, coming to Kennedy, one of the things is it's Anurag's one of the few fully written scripts by him. And I think the good thing is 80% of the script is there in the film stage. So that's the sole reason he came back from his trip, and he had managed to go to Cannes that year, 21. And then again, I wrote it in like one sitting, which is also, which is known, but then
কি আছে তুই পেছনে পা
to us and then all of us were like, okay, let's get out. I think the other guy who's worked the hardest is Rahul, because Rahul Anurag had briefed
এই একটু পান
way
খেতে
earlier, and Rahul was prepping for the role for about 6 months and his
8 months.
8 months, yeah, and his dedication to the character is the second, like after Anurag did same, who has brought it to life. Rest of us just contributed to make it.
So we are.
But there's that, I mean, there's another thing about it. You see, Kennedy, there's a lot of, I mean, it's not just the killer story, but then what is Amir Aziz doing in it? Can you figure that out? If you look at it carefully. Don't, there is a surface dance that's happening in Kennedy. But then there is so much else happening, right? And, I mean, I've seen the film. I mean, he says there's based on something, whatever. But I've seen the film 3 times. When I saw the 3rd time, I really enjoyed it even more because I saw something else. Right? And that's the hallmark of a good film, because you can find, you know, after the surface. I think you should see Kennedy twice, everybody, because when the initial shock and the hammer of effect of the film goes, then you will be able to see beyond also, because there's a lot there. See, because there's a lot of talents there that have kind of excelled themselves. Even the cinematographer, very good. I mean, the way he's used the camera, amazing. And Rahul, of course, is brilliant. I mean, so. But then I'm supposed to be biased on behalf of Rahul, so I don't talk much about it. He's like my younger brother. It's superstitious. Please.
Please, 1 second,
Anurag, I'd like to know about the casting of Rahul and also Sunny Leone, because we have seen typical roles over the years. So what did you know? How did you land up with Sunny?
No, she was my first choice for the film. That's like I said, I like to subvert things. I like to play characters. People see her a certain way. And it's like literally because people objectify her so much. So for me, if you have a character, within that world is objectified by other people, but is a human being. So I did not need to do anything. I just needed her to come and, like, if she was willing to do a film like this, and if she would really go that far and work and act and come for an audition, which she did. Her intention was to do a film like this, and she gave it her all. So it is, I see a person as a person, and I see actors. I don't judge actors from other people's movies. I don't think I've seen any of Sunny Leone's movie. So I see an individual. I saw her interview, and the person that was talking in that interview, the person that I was like amazed by. I said, this is the person I want to cast.
Does that help in casting? If you have not seen
The knowledge of a person helps me in casting. I have always cast, like I have literally, it has been my whole career graph. Like when I was casting Sayami here in Chok, everybody said, have you seen Mirza? I said, no, don't need to see Mirza. I've seen the person. I know she is going to be my character. Same thing with Tapsi Pandan Mandal. Everybody said, uski purani film dekhi. मैंने कहा, why do I need to judge somebody on the basis of what they have done for other directors? I met the person, I spoke about the character of the person, and I feel that this person, the person, I go by my instinct. And that's why I work with actors also who give me that kind of time and give me that kind of a trust and have that hunger to do something like that. So already satisfied आदमी के साथ काम करने में मजा नहीं आता।
Anurag,
No, please.
hello Anurag ji, it's a pleasure to have you here. My question is, you have spoken a lot about the animal controversy, but you have also mentioned that you don't want to work with those stars. What's the reason behind such?
Which stars means?
I mean, Ranbir Kapoor or Rashmi.
No, I don't want to work with people who have fan base, strong fan base.
Why?
Why? Because then you have to cater to the expectations of the fan base. I don't want to cater to anybody's expectations. I want to make my film. And when you work with a big star, you have to cater to the expectation that comes with a big star. When the budget goes up, everything goes up, things go out of your hand, you're not creative anymore. Then you are like controlled by the budget, you're controlled by the studios, you don't get to make your film. I've had that experience in the past. I don't want to repeat it.
Anurag taking.
Do you care about the box office at all over the years?
I care about my producer recovering his money. उसके बाद I don't care about it. As long as my producer recovered his money, I know I'll make my next film.
Alrighty, first of all, we are happy to have you here. Please. All through your life, you have insulated yourself from all sorts of mediocrity. But when you see that mediocrity actually rules, and what is your survival strategy, and what is the survival strategy of all directors who are doing alternate films or art house films or like that? Because things are becoming very tough.
Yeah. See, I
I'm
always.
Formula from Formula Show.
I don't have any strategy for other people.
No. For you, yourself?
For me, myself, it's just, every time I'm in a circumstance, I just look at people who are in worse situation than I am. And I feel I'm better. I'm in a better place. Because it's like, you look at countries that are oppressed. Who are, like, I see Iranian filmmakers. I see Zafar Panahi still making a film and able to make a film and doesn't give up and sets it out. And I'm like, I live in a country that makes 1,000 films a year and they're so obsessed with cinema. I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate that I make a film every year. So I look at any other people and I'm like, I have nothing to complain about. I just know my restrictions. If I stick to a certain budget, I'll have my freedom. If I go beyond that, I start losing my freedom. And then it's a conscious choice of how much degree of freedom am I willing to lose and how much I'm in control. So is it my film or is it going to become the studio film?
So, what is your opinion about the proposed censorship on OTT?
I don't believe in any kind of censorship, but it is not in my control. What is in my control is how I fight it. What is in my control is how I fight it. Because when you see, look at whoever proposes anything and whatever is done, there's a massive public minded. I have always fought. It's not just now. I have fought against censorship from my Black Friday days. I fought against censorship with Beauty, with Gulal, with Gangs of Wasseypur. So I'm saying, it's my job how to fight. If my argument is strong enough, my reasoning is strong enough, I have grounds to stand on, then if the film is really a part of me, I will go till the end to the Supreme Court to fight for it, which we did in Uttar Pradesh. So if I don't believe in my film and I'm willing to let other people destroy my film, then I don't have, why did I make it in the first place? So I'm saying there will be censorship, there will be all kind of things. Censorship तो हम लोग के यहाँ घर में चालू हो जाती है. Censorship तो वहाँ से चालू हो जाती है कि जब बोलते हैं फिश के बाद फिश खाने के बाद मिल्क नहीं पीना चाहिए. तुम्हारे जब तक एक बार फिश खा के मिल्क नहीं पिएंगे तो पता कैसे चलेगा क्या होता है. So I'm saying censorship कहाँ नहीं होती है. Censorship तो वहाँ भी होती है कि वो प्लग में छोटे बच्चे होते हैं ना, या curious about the plug. ऐसे उंगली डालना चाहते हो, माँ बाप रोकते मत डालो. So somebody told me a story how when you go to mountains, the monasteries, they let you put your hand in. They let you put the hand in the fire so that you know your hand burns. So I need to burn my hand. So I don't believe in censorship, but if that's the world you're living in, then you have to fight.
When you conceptualize the story of a film, in script form, do you keep in mind the structure, or the structure is improvised while you're shooting?
There's no structure, sir. For me, it's like I stew an idea. One character stays in my head, it stews over a long period of time, and then I regurgitate. And then whatever comes out after that, while shooting, while editing, there's a structure that emerges out of it. So my process is actually writing doesn't take much time. But every single script or character has stayed in my head for a very, very long time. Like I conceived of Ugly in 2005, but I made it in 2012. So every film idea has stayed for a very long period of time. The only film that went immediately from conception to shooting was Gangs of Wasseypur.
Bollywood is mostly focused on sex and violence to make good box office collections.
नहीं है. पटवन में था क्या, जवान में था क्या? I think that's a हाँ, एक फिल्म होगा, दो फिल्म होगा तो it's not about that. It is not. You think is that the thing that is what makes a film work? A film works because it resonates with people. जो ऑडियंस मास में जाती है देखने के लिए, उनको जो चीज मिलती है वो देखते हैं तो फिल्म वर्क करती है. आपको काउंटर फिल्म देखनी है तो आप काउंटर कल्चर की जो फिल्म है उसको देखने जाएंगे, वो भी वर्क करेगी. फिर तो दूसरी ऑडियंस जाती नहीं पिक्चर देखने. सुधीर सर ने अफवाह बनाई थी, कितने लोग गए थे देखने? I'm saying when he made an offer, how many people went and saw the film? तो ये जो सवाल आप पूछते हो ना, ये आप हेडलाइन दिमाग में पहले से रख के पूछते हो. जिस दिन आप ये बंद कर दोगे ना, सिनेमा भी चले जाएगा.
अनुराग जी एक छोटा सा सवाल पूछे. छोटा सा नहीं, पहले मैं था सर. अच्छा
I'll answer every question.
अनिंदिता कंटिन्यू करो.
Thank you. Anurag, you just spoke about the studio system, but these days studios are doing most of the talking. So how do you think the Indian cinema industry or the OTT industry will take forward?
See, I am not Nostradamus. I'm not Nostradamus. I can't talk about others. See, for studios business, for 99% people involved in the film industry's business is livelihood. For 1%, it is a medium of expression or something more than that. तो 1% को 99% के साथ मिलके कैसे काम करना, 1% का सबका स्ट्रगल अलग अलग है. सो आप किस लिए फिल्म बना रहे हो? हमको भी फंडिंग स्टूडियो से जाती है, बट सेम स्टूडियो दैट रिलीजेस गदर इज द सेम स्टूडियो दैट इज प्रोड्यूस कैनेडी, राइट? सो वन फिल्म मेक्स मनी फॉर देम is when they have money, they also make films like Joram, Berlin and Kennedy. I'm saying if you look at these studios, they've had 4 major films across the festival: Atma Pamphlet, Joram, Berlin and Kennedy. And they're the same studios that have also released Kashmir Files and other two. So I'm saying this, the studio system is very vast. There are different heads and they make different kind of films. तो जब फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में पैसा जनरेट होता है तो काउंटर फिल्म भी बनती है.
जैसे आपने कहा कि हाथ जलाना बनता है, बिना जलाए तो होता नहीं. अब हाथ जलते जलते 4 नेशनल अवार्ड आ गया इस बार, कैसा क्या सोच रहे थे? कुछ
किसको है? मुझे तो एक भी नहीं मिला सर.
अनुराग जी, आपको जो पिक्चर बनाता है तो आपको कितना दिन कहानी के जनरल करके बनता है?
नहीं वो तो बॉक्स का कोई फिक्स टाइम नहीं होता. शूटिंग 34 डेज 35 डेज के अंदर हो जाता है, बट पूरा प्रोसेस बहुत लंबा होता है कई बार. मतलब हाँ, फॉर एग्जांपल आप कैनेडी की बात करें तो कैरेक्टर 2003 में यहाँ से आया था, 2023 में मैंने फिल्म बनाया, तो 20 साल का प्रोसेस है.
आपके संघर्षों के बारे में, आप गोरखपुर में आपकी पैदाइश हुई, देहरादून में रहे, ग्वालियर में रहे, है ना? तो सोनभद्र में भी थे आपके पिताजी सिविल इंजीनियर, और आप हंसराज कॉलेज से पढ़े लिखे हैं, है ना? नाटक भी किया है जब नाटक.
सर मैं स्ट्रगल नहीं किया, मैं बहुत प्रिविलेज आदमी हूँ. नहीं सर, वो स्ट्रगल नहीं होता, वो स्ट्रगल अपने आप से होता है. मैं सीनियर स्कूल में पढ़ा हूँ, मैं हंसराज कॉलेज में पढ़ा हूँ. मेरे पिताजी ने मुझे बेस्ट एजुकेशन दिया है. मैं पढ़ा लिखा आदमी हूँ. पढ़ा लिखा होना अपने आप में एक प्रिविलेज है आज के टाइम में. तो मैं बहुत प्रिविलेज आदमी हूँ. जो आप स्ट्रगल की बात कर रहे हो वो स्ट्रगल अपने आप से. मैंने चॉइस किया था कि मैं इस तरह की फिल्म बनाने जाऊंगा एक ऐसे सिस्टम में जो ऐसी फिल्म नहीं बनाता. वो मेरा चॉइस है, वो स्ट्रगल नहीं है.
कौन सी फिल्म थी जिसने आपको बदल दिया?
बहुत सारी फिल्मों का कॉम्बिनेशन था. बाइसिकल थी उनमें से एक जो मेजर थी. हाँ, बहुत सारी फिल्में थी.
दोनों की जिंदगी बदली है, वे उनमें से एक है जब माही है.
वो फिल्म आपको अलग अलग तरह से इम्पैक्ट करती है, अलग अलग तरह से. मैं मेरे हिसाब से अपने को कभी लाइफ में कंपेयर नहीं करूँगा. वो जो कर रहे हैं वो हम लोग वहाँ पहुँच भी नहीं सकते. बट थिंग इज हर फिल्म जो है आपको अलग अलग तरह से इम्पैक्ट करती है. उस फिल्म ने मुझे रियलाइज करवाया कि मैं जो सोचता हूँ वो भी फिल्म हो सकती है, क्योंकि हमारे सामने एक ही विकल्प था उसके पहले कि एक इस तरह का सिनेमा ही बनता है. तो मैंने वो सब टू मेक दैट काइंड ऑफ फिल्म यू नीड टू बी अ मैजिशियन. और मेरे पास मुझे जादू आता नहीं, ना जादू की छड़ी थी मेरे पास. But when I saw neorealism in cinema, I felt this I can make, and this I want to make. So that is the impact that it had on me.
तो मेरा सवाल ये है कि आपके स्ट्रगल में डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली कलकत्ता को
नहीं, स्ट्रगल नहीं कहूँगा मैं। कलकत्ता की मेमोरीज अगर पूछो तो मैं बताता हूँ। मेरी दीदी की शादी कलकत्ता में हुई थी। नवीना सिनेमा के सामने उनका घर था। वहाँ बहुत दूर किसी ने बोला उत्पल दत्त साहब रहते हैं। हम उनके घर के बाहर गए थे और उनके घर के बाहर एक छोटा सा पेड़ था। उस पर का ऐसे ऐसे कंकड़ मार के हमें बोला तो वही मेमोरी है बचपन की। और कलकत्ता में मेरे बहुत सारे दोस्त हैं मेरे स्कूल के, 2 पीछे खड़े। और मैं कलकत्ता बहुत आता रहता हूँ और चुपचाप आता हूँ क्योंकि उनके साथ टाइम स्पेंड कर सकूँ।
So, my question is, you talk a lot about the censorship, but do you feel that there is inherent duplicity in the censorship, and mostly it is connected to sexism and overload of sexes in cinema, and overload of violence is sometimes accused. I mean, they pass it on.
No, there is a duplicity in us as human beings, all of us in the system. You have to understand the 4 people sitting in the censor board, watching your film and taking a decision, are just 4 people in that system who really are in a very peculiar position. They are very scared that what they pass or they might not pass will have some kind of a reaction. The system is a inherent flaw है. हमारी country now we are like a very hog country. So you know, it's like कहीं पे कोई offend हो गया तो उससे यहाँ घबरा जाते हैं। There is no law in place that once something is cleared by the censor board, it becomes the issue of law and order state to enforce it because it's been cleared by a body, government body. But the problem is ऐसा होता नहीं है। Blame इनके ऊपर आता है, तो लोग और डर जाते हैं। तो फिल्म बाय फिल्म इनके रूल्स चेंज होते रहते हैं। कौन सी फिल्म रिलीज हुई, उसके ऊपर कितना ऑफेंस और कितना आउटरीच होता है, उसके ऊपर उनकी नेक्स्ट फिल्म डिसाइड होती है। तो प्रॉब्लम वो नहीं है, वो डरे हुए 4 लोग बैठे होते हैं, उनको नहीं मालूम। यू कांट ब्लेम देम।
Suppose you are on the censor board, what would you?
I will never be on the censor board. I don't want to suppose that. If I will be on the censor board, I will pass everything as it is.
मेरा सवाल रंजन जी से है। ये है कि बातें चारों तरफ जा रही हैं। एक तरफ मैं जिधर मैंने अनुभव कर रहा हूँ कि आप एज ए प्रोड्यूसर इस फिल्म के, आपने ये फिल्म का कंटेंट जाना और आपने डिसीजन लिया कि आप इसको प्रोड्यूस करेंगे। मैं वो प्रोसेस थोड़ा जानना चाहता हूँ कि आपने फिल्म देख के किस आधार पर कहा कि नहीं हम इसे बनाएंगे। अनुराग बसु की फिल्म में चलो बनाएंगे, ऐसा?
अनुराग कश्यप
हम लोग दोनों को
नहीं, जैसे कि मैंने पहले बताया आप लोग कि ये सर की स्क्रिप्ट है जो उन्होंने अपने आप लिखी है। और वो नॉर्मली जब अपने आप पूरी स्क्रिप्ट लिखे 3-4 ही फिल्में हैं, वो स्क्रिप्ट्स काफ़ी अलग होती हैं और काफ़ी पूरे बनाने में मजा आता है। तो एक बार जब वो आ गया और हमने सबने स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ी और सबको इतनी अच्छी लगी, एंड लाइक प्रोड्यूसर बात होता है, यू आर सिनेमा ऑडियंस पहले, तो हमें भी वो फिल्में, हम वही फिल्में बनाते हैं जो शायद हम फिल्में देखना चाहते हैं, राइट? तो जब आप अपने हाथ में ऐसी स्क्रिप्ट आती है तो आप ऑब्वियसली चाहते हैं कि वो बनाए, राइट? आई सेड अर्लियर, उसके बाद राहुल जो ऑलरेडी तैयारी कर रहे थे, एंड देन वी वेंट सी स्टूडियो हु वर ऑन बोर्ड इन लाइक 1 डे, दे आल्सो वांटेड टू मेक दिस फिल्म। सो ये सब कुछ जो स्क्रिप्ट की खूबसूरती है, और वो एक बार आपको मिल रही है अगर इतनी अच्छी स्क्रिप्ट, जो सेल्डम लाइक दिस फिल्म आल्सो इज अनुराग्स मोस्ट ट्रैवल्ड फिल्म। सो कहीं ना कहीं नाउ वी फील गुड कि शायद जो स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ के जजमेंट हुआ था वो सही था। वही रीजन है सर फिल्में बनाने का।
Anurag Kashyap ji, Anurag ऐसे Anurag, तुम्हारा opinion person, you have your views. How difficult it is? Do you insulate yourself from what's happening outside while you are making a film? And how?
I isolate myself. I stay away from, because there is a lot of noise. Because हम तो एक तरह से overpopulated country है। हाँ, मतलब मुझे मैं इतना कल बोल रहा था कि हम लोग को इंडियंस को सेक्स समझता नहीं, लेकिन लोग बहुत करते हैं, तभी चारों तरफ फैले हुए। हम लोग इतने ज़्यादा मैं थोड़ा सा, सबका अपना ओपिनियन है। अगर आप सोशल मीडिया पर जाए तो कोई बात नहीं होता, कोई डिबेट नहीं होती है, सब में ओपिनियन एक दूसरे के ऊपर फेंकते रहते हैं। सो आई ट्राई टू स्टे अवे फ्रॉम इट, बट यू नो यू आर अवेयर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड यू आर लिविंग इन, एंड दैट ऑलवेज सीप्स इनटू अ फिल्म, दैट विल ऑलवेज सीप इन.
And your film was open to a big round of applause in other film festivals. How different was this feeling this time from the earlier?
For me, the greatest feeling was the audience response in India and Mumbai. For me, more than Cannes, when the film played in Mami, that reaction I hold much more dear to me. It was unbelievable.
अनुराग जी, कैनेडी फिल्म के बारे में थोड़ा कुछ बताइए, और कोलकाता फिल्म फेस्टिवल में ये कितना पसंद आएगी ऑडियंस को, थोड़ा कुछ?
ये मैं नॉस्ट्राडेमस नहीं हूँ, मैं बिल्कुल नहीं मालूम, मुझे अभी नहीं मालूम 1 घंटे बाद क्या होने वाला है. फिल्म मैं चाहता हूँ लोग एक्सपीरियंस करें, सिर्फ बताने से क्या होता है ना, एक्सपेक्टेशन बिल्ड होता है, वो बहुत हार्मफुल चीज होती है फिल्म के लिए. फिल्म देखिए और फिर आप बताइए कितनी खराब है अच्छी है.
अनुराग जी, मेरा सवाल है, बंगाल या इंडिया में साहित्यों तक फिल्में बनने की परंपरा तो आस्ते आस्ते कम हो रहा है, तो ये जो साहित्य से जो सिनेमा शुरू हो रहा है उसको आप किस वे में देखते हैं?
नहीं, साहित्य से फिल्में बनना कम नहीं हुई हैं, हम सिर्फ लोगों ने पढ़ना भी कम किया, अभी हमारे साहित्य भी कम हुआ है, और लोग जो है हमारे राइटर्स इंग्लिश में लिखने लग गए हैं, और लोग जो सेल्फ पब्लिश कर रहे हैं, आधी किताबें पढ़ी नहीं जाती हैं. सो साहित्य भी कम हुआ है, और ऐसा नहीं है जितने बुक राइट्स आज की डेट में खरीदे जा रहे हैं उतने पहले कभी नहीं खरीदे. बहुत सारा बहुत कुछ हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं हो रहा है.
सर, अगर आपको कोई बंगाली मूवी अभी रिमेक करने का मौका मिले तो आप कौन सा चूज करेंगे?
मैं तो रीमेक नहीं कर सकता.
अगर मौका मिले, अगर आपको करना पड़े?
मैं खानसामा बन जाऊँ, मैं अली का शहर.
One comment that you said that the response which you have got in Mami was very dear to you. Why do you say so? Can you elaborate on
One, it is a homegrown place. What happens is that was the first time the audience that was not reading the subtitles, the film was directly reaching them. See, there's a lot lost in translation when you read the subtitles. It doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, but what happens is when your home audience, it reaches in that stronger way where they're getting. There's more laughter throughout the film. There are more reactions throughout the film. People were getting everything. मुझे कुछ explain नहीं करना पड़ा. Everywhere else I have to do a Q&A to explain, because the film is set in the circumstances. You have to explain the context of India first. When you go out, you have to explain what India is. Because India itself is a very complex concept to explain to people in the West. They don't understand India or India. For them, their judgment of India comes from mainstream Bollywood film, and my film is neither art house nor mainstream, so it is neither ground reality nor it is somewhere in between. So पहले you have to explain that. तो मामी में कुछ explain नहीं करना पड़ा, and every joke was landing, every theme was landing, and there was a constant reaction. It was a non-stop reaction throughout the film that we got at Mami.
सर, मैं आपसे एक क्वेश्चन करूँ.
वहाँ पे भी बहुत अच्छा रिएक्शन था, लेकिन वहाँ पे रिएक्शन एक होता है ना, ओवरऑल इम्पैक्ट का होता है, वो सिनेमा अलग तरह से देखते हैं. यहाँ पे इंडिया में जब फिल्म देखते हैं तो इंडिया में ये नहीं देखते हैं कि कितनी अच्छी शूट हुई है, क्या है. They see everything, they see every layer, तो वो बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क पड़ता है.
आपने अपनी फिल्म कंपनी का नाम गुड एंड बैड फिल्म्स क्यों रखा?
क्योंकि मेरी फिल्में लोगों को अच्छी लगती है, कुछ लोगों को मैं कोई फिल्म नहीं जिसको तो सबको अच्छी लगती है.
अरे भाई आस्ते.
हाँ, वो प्रोड्यूसर साहब से बात की.
सर, मैं आपसे एक सवाल करने वाली हूँ. सर, लोग जो है 4 दिनों से आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं.
मेरा?
हाँ जी, 4 दिनों से लोगों में ये लगा हुआ है कि अनुराग कश्यप आ रहे हैं. आपको ये सुन के कैसा महसूस कर सकते हैं, आप ये बताएं.
मैं बहुत घबराता हूँ, तो मैं बिना किसी से हाथ मिलाए दे चलता हूँ. जितने लोग मेरा इंतजार कर रहे हैं, अगर उतने लोग मेरी पिक्चर का टिकट खरीद करके थिएटर में आएंगे ना, तो मैं धीरे धीरे चलूंगा और सबके साथ फोटो खिंचाऊंगा.
मेरा सवाल सुधीर जी से है।
बहुत सर्विस।
मेरा सवाल सुधीर जी से है। सुधीर जी, आप
ये वैसे बात सही कह रहा था कि जितने लोग फोटो खिंचा रहे हैं इसके सब आइएगा फिल्म देखने।
हाँ, सुधीर जी, मैं
यहाँ से आप खबर फैलाइएगा, क्योंकि जिम्मेदारी एक ऑडियंस की भी बनती है, तो फिर मुश्किल होता है।
सुधीर जी, मैं
फेस्टिवल में तो मुफ्त में देगा।
सुधीर जी, मैं सदीनामा से बोल रहा हूँ।
टिकट
सुधीर जी, मैं सदीनामा से बोल रहा हूँ। मेरे पास लगातार मैसेजेस आ रहे हैं। हमारे पाठक जानना चाह रहे हैं कि बोलियां जो है भारत की, बोलियां और सिनेमा और विचार, उस पर आप क्या सोचते हैं? बोलियां
जो बोलियां अलग अलग जो भाषाएं हैं, भोजपुरी हो या
भोजपुरी विशेषकर, हाँ,
तो मतलब जिस इलाके के लोग हैं, अब बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो जहाँ से आएंगे अगर उस तरह की फिल्में। दरभंगा में भी सिनेमा बन रहा है, आपको पता है ना? मैथिली में बन रही,
हरियाणवी में बनी है, हरियाणवी में बनी है।
अब हम लोग देखते नहीं तो उसकी मतलब फिल्म मेकर की तो गलती नहीं है। तो वो बोलियां तो अब धीरे धीरे जिस तरह से टेक्नोलॉजी का बढ़ रही है, तो बहुत जल्दी क्या ऐसा हो रहा है कि कहीं जबलपुर, जगदलपुर, जमशेदपुर में कोई बच्चा फिल्म बनाएगा और उसको कान में पांबे और मिल जाएगा। वो कभी बम्बई, कलकत्ता इन जगहों पे नहीं आएगा, तो फिर वो उधर से उभरी हुई फिल्में होगी। अभी सब वाया मेट्रो हो गई है। तो आई थिंक अलग अलग जगह जब सिनेमा पनपेगा, जब उनका हो जाएगा, जब मीडियम उनका हो जाएगा, किसी भी बाप की बपौती नहीं रहेगी, तो फिर सिनेमा और वो बोलियां भी जो है ना वो पनपेगी उसमें। उसको थोपा नहीं जा सकता। वसीपुर में तो है बोलियां फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो एक तरह की है, कैनेडी में दूसरी बोली है।
वही वो सही बोला, सिनेमा का भी प्रेमचंद निकलेगा किसी का।
हाँ,
धन्यवाद सर।
Can you just say that you just said that he conceived Agni long back and then it was made after a decade or something. So does the concept stays in your head, or do you write it somewhere? Also,
No, the concept stays in my head.
and also he said that whatever we will watch in Kennedy, we're stuck 80% to the script. So do you deviate a lot from the script, or do you?
Yes, script is a map. Script is not the Bible for me. Script is a map.
Multiple times you mentioned that online is my platform. Why do you consider yourself as such?
I survived as a filmmaker because people used to download my movies. Nobody ever went to cinema to see my film. So, and then somebody created OTT platforms and they started monetizing. So my downloads started getting monetized. So I'm literally, my audience is, I've seen, they were my own original viewers. हमारा सिनेमा हॉल में कहाँ मेरी पिक्चर रिलीज के 4 साल बाद चलती है।
Beyond the point, every big filmmaker is happy with piracy. As the producer collects the money, because more and more people see it. It's the same with Hazaro. I mean,
Anurag, there are people who are still studying in film institutes and they want to become Anurag Kashyap. What are the hurdles they need to cross before they think about you becoming you?
I say be yourself. I always tell people you have to be yourself. It's a very glamorized Wikipedia version of me that everybody thinks I am. So it's not the truth. Don't believe any bullshit.
People believe that you made a lot of money. Is it true or false?
I am broke and in debt.
a lot of people made money because of him.
So when you yourself in Bombay Velvet, do you think yourself as being yourself in the Bombay Velvet?
Bombay Velvet is too big a budget. I don't know. See,
No, I'm not talking about the budget.
So it's what I'm trying to say, that what happens is when a film comes out, success or failure, it should be yours. Bombay Velvet मुझे नहीं मालूम किसका failure. So it's not really the film that it's a big fight, and when the budget is high, you lose the fight.
सुधीर जी, मेरा प्रश्न सवाल है, ये हबीब तमीर का भी शताब्दी वर्ष चल रहा है ना? आपके साथ तो उन्होंने काम भी किया है, ये मस्जिद तो रही में 87 में, तो उन्होंने नाटक के अलावा फिल्मों में भी काम किया, उस बारे में थोड़ा बताएंगे हबीब तनवीर के फिल्मों के बारे में।
हबीब तनवीर का सिनेमा में मैं तो दो काम मेरे साथ किए, नाना पाटेकर के साथ किया, एक केतन मेहता के साथ। बहुत जमाने पहले उन्होंने फुटपाथ एक फिल्म बनी थी, जिया सरहदी ने बनाई थी, उसमें उससे परेशान होकर एक्चुअली वो इंग्लैंड चले गए थे इंडस्ट्री छोड़ के, तो अब दिलीप कुमार से परेशान हो गए। तो बहरहाल तो वो अलग कहानी है, लेकिन आई थिंक उनकी तारीफ या his contribution is immense. He's one of the greatest Indian artists of all time. ये बहुत ट्रेजेडी है कि हबीब तनवीर का नाम सिनेमा के संदर्भ में लें या मेरी फिल्म के संदर्भ में. He is much bigger than me or my films.
Well, if you have any more questions, please.
Which is more important, the budget or the content of the film?
I think they're both important. It's important that what you're trying to say, and I always say that do it in the minimal cost possible. Because then it doesn't stay your voice.
Sir, all over the world, all the film festivals are now glam factors are being valorized. Glam factors are being valorized. Glamorous actors are going there, glamorous producers. The meaning of festivals has changed a lot.
No, it's always been the same.
Since last 20 years.
No, it's always been the same. It's always been the same. See, festival needs both. When there is glamour, they get the funds to show the films. That does not include that glamour. So I'm saying they both. Every year, to understand that we are living in a society where we are interdependent on each other. We are all somewhere interdependent on each other. बहुत जल्दी क्या हम लोग we take on a very pedestal and holier than thou attitude and point fingers at the others. I'm saying if we think that we are the people who know more, who understand more, who are more aware and who are more learned, then we should be the last people to start feeling offended at anything.
So I just want to ask you one last question. You said you studied in very good schools, the best, most expensive schools. So how has that contributed to your?
A lot, because this is also a reflection of our society, because I was studying in it's actually the number one public school in India. But I came from a very lower middle class family where my father spent all his money to send me to that school, because he wanted to give me his education. But in the school, I felt like an outsider sometimes, because I did not speak English initially. Initially, I was a Hindi-speaking boy, so I spent a lot of time in my library. And my school had one of the best libraries and one of the biggest libraries. And when you're as a kid, you feel isolated. So I spent so much time in the library that I read all of Hindi literature. By the age of 13, 14, I was available in the library. And I moved to English literature. So the opportunity that the school presented itself with, and the friends that I made for life. I made friends for life. These are the same friends who helped me make a lot of films. I remember even like so many independent films we made. My friends in various aspects of life have helped me over my good times, bad times, and the all-round education that school gave. My school had 52 sports fields. We used to run cross-country every day, almost. There was a cross-country session used to happen. हम लोगों को punishment क्या होती थी? जाके 4 round लेके आओ. So that fitness that came from there, I survived. When I was sick and I went to the doctor, they did an endoscopy. They said your internal systems are very strong, because you have been made to exercise. So अगर आप हर चीज को देखो ना, तो उसमें benefit ही है, आपको कुछ फायदा ही है. उस स्कूल ने मुझे बहुत कुछ दिया. Even when I felt I was bullied or I felt did not belong, it gave me so much, because it developed me as a person. You develop empathy, you develop some kind of a theme of what not to do in life. And everybody, and when you grow up, you realize everybody is a kid. So even if somebody bullied me at that certain point, he was also a child. And children at that age don't know good from bad. They are always testing their strength. बट ये हमको बड़े होने के बाद समझ में आता है, छोटे में नहीं समझ में आता। तो उस एज में जब ये नहीं समझ में आता था तो मैं सारा टाइम छुप के पढ़ता रहता। हमारे स्कूल में सैटरडे को फिल्म दिखाते थे, मैं दोनों शो में जाके देखता था, भाग भाग के, पनिशमेंट भी मिलती थी उसके लिए। सो ऑल दोज थिंग्स आई लुक बैक वेरी फॉन्डली. So I'm saying and public school has also taught me to be independent. I don't need anyone. I isolate myself and I can live with myself. I don't feel like lonely. And my writing process is very solitary. I write with my hands. My school में essays लिखे जाते थे. I used to write with my hands. I still write with my hands. So everything still, school is still giving me. And if I hadn't been to that school and I have seen my cousins and people from my town who stayed back, whose parents didn't want to send them back, and they're still there. वो अभी भी दुकान ही चला रहे, उनकी दुनिया बड़ी नहीं हो रही। जितना ज़्यादा मैंने ट्रैवल किया, जितना सब मेरी दुनिया बड़ी होती गई। So school has given me a lot.
So दुनिया बड़ी होनी चाहिए।
दुनिया बड़ी होनी चाहिए।
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Anurag and Sudhir and.
थोड़े जाओ, थोड़े जाओ।
Please give washroom. Anurag পড়ে যাচ্ছে ধাক্কায়। কেউ শুনছে না, একদম ধাক্কা দিচ্ছে কেন?
এরকম করলে হয়?